A waitress told one small lie to protect a wounded man hiding behind her diner. Just instinct. Nothing more the next day. He returned as a powerful mafia boss, declaring he owed her a debt. She never wanted what she didn't know. That lie had put her name on a traitor's kill list, and now the most dangerous man in the city refused to let her face it alone. The coffee machine hissed its final breath at 11:47 p.m., and Mara knew she'd be the one stuck cleaning it. "Take your break first," Jerry called from the kitchen, already untying his apron. "I'm clocking out." Mara didn't argue. The highway diner was dead anyway, just two truckers nursing cold pie and a teenager scrolling through his phone. She grabbed her cigarettes and pushed through the back door into the November cold. She didn't smoke anymore. Hadn't in 3 years. But holding the pack made the loneliness feel like a choice. The dumpsters reeked of fryer grease and spoiled milk. Mara leaned against the brick wall, staring at the woods beyond the parking lot. Somewhere out there, the interstate hummed with people going places. She'd been stuck in this town for 26 years. That's when she heard it. A wet, rattling cough. Mara froze. "Hello." Silence. Then another cough, closer, desperate. She should have gone inside. Should have called someone. Instead, she stepped toward the dumpsters, her sneakers crunching on gravel. A man was crumpled behind the green one, half hidden in shadow. Blood soaked through his white dress shirt, dark and spreading. His face was pale, slicked with sweat, but his eyes, sharp and blue, locked onto hers with startling clarity. "Don't," he whispered. "Don't scream." Mara's heart hammered. "You need a hospital." "No hospitals." His voice was rough but commanding. "No police." "You're bleeding out." "I know what I'm doing." He pressed a hand to his side, wincing. Just give me 5 minutes. They'll pass." "Who'll pass?" Before he could answer, red and blue lights splashed across the parking lot. Mara's stomach dropped. 2 patrol cars skidded to a stop near the diner's front entrance. Car doors slammed. Voices barked orders. The man's hand shot out and gripped her wrist. His fingers were cold, trembling. "Please." She didn't know him. Didn't know him anything. But something in his eyes, something raw and human, made her move. Mara yanked her arm free and stepped away from the dumpsters just as 2 officers rounded the corner, flashlights cutting through the dark. "Evening, miss," the taller one, badge reading Kowalski, swept his beam across her face. "You work here?" "Yeah," Mara's voice came out steady. "Surprising. Just taking a break. See anyone come through here? Last few minutes." She felt the wounded man's gaze on her back. Felt the weight of the life forming in her throat. "No," she said. "No one's out here." Kowalski studied her. "Too long. Too hard." "You sure about that?" "I've been out here 10 minutes. It's just me and the trash." The second officer, younger and jittery, kicked at a cardboard box. "Dispatch said he came this way." Then he kept running. Kowalski's flashlight crawled over the dumpsters, the woods, the fence line. He looked back at Mara. "You hear anything? Footsteps? Someone moving through the trees?" "Just cars on the highway." Another beat of silence. Then Kowalski's radio crackled. A voice barked coordinates, something about the North Service Road. He clicked his radio. "Copy. Heading there now." The 2 officers jogged back toward their cars. Engines roared. "Lichtspon." Then they were gone, swallowed by the night. Mara exhaled, her hands shaking. Behind her, the man shifted. She turned to find him standing, barely, one hand braced against the dumpster. Up close, she could see the cut of his jaw, the expensive watch on his wrist, the tailored pants caked in dirt. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Who are you?" "No one you want to know." He staggered toward the tree line, each step labored. "Forget you saw me. You're going to die out there." He paused, glancing back. For a moment, something almost like a smile crossed his face. "Not tonight." Then he disappeared into the woods. Mara stood alone in the cold, her pulse still racing. She looked down at her wrist where he'd grabbed her. No mark.
No proof.
Just the memory of his grip and the weight of her lie.
She went inside.
Finished her shift. Drove home in silence. Morning came too fast. Mara's alarm dragged her out of a dreamless sleep at 6 a.m. She showered, pulled her hair into a bun, and drove back to the diner under a sky the color of old bruises. The place was quiet, peaceful, even. She unlocked the front door, flipped the open sign, and started brewing coffee. By 7:30, the regulars trickled in. By 8 o'clock, the breakfast rush hit. Mara moved on autopilot, pouring coffee, taking orders, smiling at strangers. She'd almost convinced herself last night had been a fever dream. Then the SUVs arrived. 3 of them. Black, sleek, and expensive. They pulled into the parking lot like a motorcade, windows tinted so dark they looked like holes cut into reality. The diner went quiet. Mara stood behind the counter, coffee pot frozen in her hand, as the doors opened. Men stepped out first. 6 of them. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in dark suits that didn't belong in a highway diner. They moved with precision, scanning the lot, the road, the building. One spoke into his wrist. Then he stepped out. The man from last night. But not the same. Not broken or bleeding. He was clean now, immaculate, even. Dark suit, crisp white shirt, no sign of injury. His face was sharper in the daylight, all hard lines and controlled power. He moved like someone who owned the ground beneath his feet. And he walked straight toward the diner. The bell above the door chimed. Every head turned. Conversations died. The man's eyes swept the room, calm and assessing, until they landed on Mara. He smiled. It wasn't warm. It wasn't cold. It was something in between acknowledgement and promise. He crossed the diner and slid into a booth in her section. His men flanked the entrance, silent and still as statues. Mara's hands were shaking again. She set the coffee pot down and forced herself to walk over, notepad ready. What can I get you? The man leaned back, folding his hands on the table. Coffee. Black. She wrote it down, started to turn. And a moment of your time, he added. Mara's stomach twisted. I'm working. I know his voice was smooth, quiet. Dangerous. I won't keep you long. But I owe you a debt, miss. Mara. Mara, he said her name like he was tasting it.
Adriel Vale.
The name hit her like cold water. She'd heard it before. Whispers, news reports, rumors that circled this town like vultures.
Adriel Vale.
The man who controlled half the state's underground. The ghost in expensive suits. The nightmare parents warned their kids about. And she'd lied to the police for him. I don't want anything from you, Mara said, her voice barely steady. Adrian's smile deepened. That's unfortunate, because the debt has already been paid. Before she could respond, one of his men stepped forward and placed a thick envelope on the table. Your student loans, Adrian said. Cleared as of this morning. Consider it a thank you. Mara's heart stopped. How do you? I make it my business to know who saves my life, he stood, buttoning his jacket. You didn't have to lie for me, Mara. But you did. That means something. He walked toward the door, his men parting like a curtain. Mara found her voice. I don't want your money. I don't want anything to do with you. Adrian paused at the threshold, glancing back. I'm afraid it's too late for that. The door swung shut. The SUVs pulled away. And Mara stood frozen in the center of the diner, the envelope burning on the table like a lit fuse. Mara didn't touch the envelope for 3 hours. It sat on the corner table like a coiled snake while she refilled coffee, delivered pancakes, and pretended everything was normal. But her hands shook every time she walked past it. Customers whispered. Her manager, Dale, kept shooting her nervous glances from behind the register. Finally, during the lunch lull, she grabbed it. The envelope was heavy, cream-colored, expensive. No writing on the outside. She carried it to the storage room and locked the door behind her. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Sally May account hashtag 4782-9901. Balance $000. Paid in full. November 18th, 7:42 a.m. Mara's knees went weak. $43,000.
Gone.
Erased like it never existed. She'd been paying $200 a month for 4 years. Money she barely had. Money that kept her trapped in this town, working doubles just to stay afloat. And now some criminal had wiped it clean with a phone call. The paper crumpled in her fist. She wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. She wanted to rip the check into pieces and mail it back to whatever dark hole Adrian Vale crawled out of. But she couldn't, because the debt was already paid. The money was already gone from his accounts. Refusing it now wouldn't change anything. It would just make her look ungrateful to a man who didn't tolerate disrespect. Mara shoved the paper back into the envelope and returned to the floor. The diner stayed quiet until 2 p.m. That's when the SUVs came back. This time, they didn't leave. Mara was wiping down table 6 when she noticed them, parked across the street, engines running, windows dark. Just sitting there, watching. Her stomach twisted. By 3 p.m., customers started leaving. The couple in booth 2 paid quickly and hurried out. The truck driver at the counter kept glancing at the SUVs, then at Mara, then back at his pie. He left a $20 for an $8 meal and didn't wait for change. By 4 p.m., the diner was empty except for Dale and one cook. Dale cornered her by the coffee station. "What the hell is going on, Mara?" "I don't know. Those cars have been out there for 2 hours. People are scared. I didn't ask them to be here." "Well, they're here because of you." Dale's face was red, his voice rising. "That man this morning, the one with the suits, he sat in your section. Those are his guys out there, aren't they?" "Dale, I don't want trouble. I can't afford trouble. If this is some kind of..."
The door chimed.
They both turned. Adrian Vale stepped inside, flanked by 2 of his men. He looked exactly as he had that morning. Immaculate, controlled, untouchable. But there was something different in his eyes now. Something harder. "Miss Mara," he said smoothly. "May I have a word?" Dale opened his mouth to protest, but one look from Adrian's men shut him down. He retreated to the kitchen without a sound. Mara crossed her arms. "Your guys are scaring away my customers." "I'm aware." Adrian gestured to the same booth as before. "Please."
"Seat."
"I'm working." "Not anymore." He nodded to one of his men, who locked the front door and flipped the sign to closed. Mara's pulse spiked. "You can't just..."
"Seat."
Down, his voice didn't rise, but the command in it was absolute. "She's Saturday." Adrian slid into the booth across from her, his men positioning themselves by the windows. He folded his hands on the table, the picture of calm. "You seem upset," he said. "You paid off my debt without asking. You've got armed men outside my workplace. People think I'm involved in something. You are involved in something. I lied to some cops. That's it. That doesn't make me part of your world." Adrian tilted his head, studying her. "Do you know why those police were chasing me, Mara?" "I don't care." "You should." He leaned forward slightly. "They weren't real police." "Well, they were, but they were also on someone else's payroll. A man named Victor Cross. He's second in command in my organization. Or he was, until he decided he wanted to be first." Mara's throat tightened. "What does that have to do with me?"
Victor orchestratait à coup.
"He bribed half my security team, turned several officers, and set a trap to capture me 2 nights ago. I barely escaped." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Your lie bought me the time I needed to disappear. By morning, I'd regained control of my assets, my people, and my position. Victor's plan failed."
"Great.
"So we're even?" "No." Adrian's eyes locked onto hers. "Victor knows someone helped me that night. He has sources inside the police department. By now, he's seen the report. He knows a diner waitress named Mara told the officers she saw nothing." The words hung in the air like smoke. Mara felt the room tilt. "He knows my name. He knows everything. Where you work. Where you live. Your routine." Adrian's voice softened. almost gentle. You saved my life, Mara. That makes you valuable to me. But it also makes you a target to him. Then tell him I didn't know who you were. Tell him it was a mistake. He won't believe that. Make him believe it. Adrian shook his head slowly. Victor doesn't leave loose ends. And right now, you're the loosest end he has. Mara's hands were shaking again. She pressed them flat against the table. So, what, you're here to protect me? Is that what this is? Yes. I don't want your protection. That's unfortunate, Adrian said quietly. Because you're going to get it anyway. He stood, buttoning his jacket. His men moved toward the door. Wait, Mara shot to her feet. You can't just decide that. You can't just take over my life because of one stupid decision I made. Adrian paused at the door. When he looked back, there was something almost sad in his expression. You made that decision the moment you lied for me, he said. Everything after is just consequence. The door swung open. His men filed out. And Mara stood alone in the empty diner, the sound of her heartbeat drowning out everything else. The police came for her at 6 a.m. Mara was still in her pajamas, coffee halfway to her lips, when the knock rattled her apartment door. 3 sharp raps. Official. Impatient. She knew before she opened it. 2 detectives stood in the hallway, a woman in her 40s with steel-gray hair and a younger man whose expression suggested he'd rather be anywhere else. Mara Jennings? The woman held up a badge. Detective Sarah Chen. This is Detective Mills. We need you to come down to the station. Mara's grip tightened on her mug. Why? We have some questions about an incident 3 nights ago. Behind the diner where you work. I already talked to the officers that night. We're aware. Chen's smile was thin, professional. But new information has come to light. We'd appreciate your cooperation. It wasn't a request. Mara changed quickly, her mind racing. She texted Dale that she'd be late, then climbed into the unmarked sedan. Neither detective spoke during the 15-minute drive to the station. They led her through a maze of gray corridors into a small interview room. Table. 3 chairs. A camera blinking red in the corner. Chun gestured to a seat. Can we get you anything? Water?
Coffee. I've fine.
Mills closed the door. The click echoed like a gunshot. Chen sat across from Mara, opening a manila folder. Let's start simple. 3 nights ago, around midnight, you were on break behind the diner.
Correct.
Yes. And 2 officers approached you, Kowalski and Brennan, asking if you'd seen anyone. Right. You told them no. Mara's heart hammered. That's what I said. Chen pulled out a photograph and slid it across the table. Adrian Vale, taken from some surveillance footage. He looked younger in the image, but unmistakable. Do you know this man? Mara stared at the photo. Every instinct screamed at her to lie again, but she could feel the weight of the camera, the folder full of evidence she couldn't see. I've seen him on the news, she said carefully. But not that night. I told the officers. No one was out there. Mills leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Here's the thing, Miss Jennings. We tracked Adrian Vale's movements that night using traffic cameras, cell tower pings, and witness statements. He was injured, badly, after escaping from a confrontation on 5th Street. Blood trail leads straight to your diner. Chun tapped the photo. And then it stops. Right behind your dumpsters. Mara kept her face neutral. Maybe he kept running. The woods are right there. Except our K-9 unit lost his scent at the dumpsters. Not in the woods. At the dumpsters, Chun leaned forward. Almost like he stayed there for several minutes. Hiding. While someone stood between him and the officers. I don't know what you want me to say. The truth would be nice, Mills pushed off the wall. You lied to police officers during an active manhunt. That's obstruction of justice at minimum. I didn't see anyone. Bullshit, Mills' voice hardened. Vale's one of the most wanted men in the state. He runs guns, drugs, extortion rings. People disappear when they cross him. And you're sitting here acting like you don't know anything? Detective Chen shot Mills a warning look, then turned back to Mara. Her expression softened. Look, we understand you might have been scared. Vale's dangerous. If he threatened you. No one threatened me. Then why did his men show up at your diner yesterday? Chin pulled out more photos. The SUVs. Adrian entering the diner. Multiple witnesses reported armed men securing the location. You were seen talking to Vale privately. What did he want? Mara's mouth went dry. He was just a customer. A customer who paid off your $43,000 in student loans. The room went silent. Mara felt the blood drain from her face. How did you? We pulled your financial records. Chen's voice was gentle, almost sympathetic. Overnight, your debt disappeared. Paid in full by a shell corporation traced back to Vale's network. That's not a coincidence, Mara. That's payment. Mills circled the table. You helped him escape. He paid you off. Now you're in his pocket. That's not what happened. Then what did happen? Chen asked. Mara's mind raced. Every answer felt like a trap. If she admitted she lied, she'd be charged. If she kept denying it, they'd dig deeper. And if she told them Adrian was protecting her from Victor Cross, she'd be admitting she knew too much. I want a lawyer, she said quietly.
Chun sighed.
You're not under arrest, Mara. We're just talking. Then I can leave. You can, Chin closed the folder. But walking out that door doesn't make this go away.
Victor Cross is escalating.
2 of Vale's men were found dead this morning. Execution style. This is a war, and you're caught in the middle of it. Mara stood, her legs unsteady. Am I free to go or not? Mills stepped between her and the door. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave this room and think very carefully about your choices. When you're ready to tell the truth, we'll be here. And if she keeps lying, Chen added, her voice colder now, we'll charge you as an accomplice. You'll lose your job, your apartment, and probably spend the next 5 years in prison. All because you lied for a man who doesn't care if you live or die. Mara pushed past Mills and walked out. Her hands didn't stop shaking until she reached her car. She sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes, staring at nothing. Adrian's words echoing in her head. You're going to get it anyway. Protection. Or a prison. She wasn't sure there was a difference anymore. Mara didn't go to work. She drove home on autopilot, her mind replaying the detective's words on a loop. Accomplice. Prison. 5 years. She'd lied once, one stupid, impulsive decision, and now her entire life was unraveling. The November sky had turned gray and heavy by the time she pulled into her apartment complex. Rain threatened but hadn't fallen yet. She climbed the stairs to the second floor, her legs heavy, and stopped. Her door was open. Not wide open, just cracked. Maybe an inch. Enough to see darkness inside. Mara's heart lurched into her throat. She'd locked it. She always locked it. She was compulsive about it, triple-checking before she left, testing the handle twice. She should have run. Should have called 911. Instead, she pushed the door open slowly. Hello. Silence. The apartment looked normal at first glance.
No shattered windows. No overturned furniture.
Nothing stolen. But as Mara stepped inside, her skin prickled with wrongness. The throw pillows on her couch were rearranged, 2 on the left instead of the right. Her kitchen chair was pulled out slightly from the table. The bathroom door, which she always kept closed, stood ajar. Someone had been here. Mara moved through each room, her pulse hammering. Her bedroom looked untouched, but when she opened her closet, she froze. Her boxes of old photos, stored on the top shelf, had been shifted. Not much. Just enough to notice if you knew where everything belonged. They'd gone through her things. Her hands trembled as she checked her dresser, her desk, under her bed. Nothing missing. No note. No threat. Just the quiet, suffocating knowledge that someone had invaded her space. She grabbed her phone and dialed before she could think better of it. Adrian answered on the second ring. Mara, someone broke into my apartment. A pause. Are you inside now? Yes. Get out. Immediately. Go to a public place and wait for me. Adrian. Now, Mara. She grabbed her keys and ran. The coffee shop 3 blocks away was warm and crowded. College students hunched over laptops, mothers with strollers, the hiss of espresso machines. Mara sat in the back corner, her hands wrapped around a cup she didn't drink, watching the door. Adrian arrived 20 minutes later. He came alone this time, dressed in a charcoal coat and dark jeans. He looked almost normal without the suits and the entourage. Almost. Until you saw his eyes, sharp, calculating, missing nothing. He slid into the seat across from her. Tell me exactly what you saw. Mara described it all. The cracked door. The shifted belongings. The violated privacy. Adrian listened without interrupting, his jaw tightening with each detail. When she finished, he pulled out his phone and made a call. Check the building.
Full sweep.
Report back in 10-inch. He hung up and met her gaze. My men will secure your apartment. Your men are the reason I'm in this mess. My men are the reason you're still alive. They broke into my home, didn't they? Mara's voice cracked. You said you'd protect me, but really you just wanted to control me. You went through my things. You. It wasn't Victor's people, Adrian interrupted quietly. It was mine. Mara stared at him. What? I sent a team to your apartment this morning. They were instructed to check for surveillance devices, explosives, anything Victor might have planted. He didn't look away. They had orders not to disturb anything, but clearly they failed. The betrayal hit her like a slap. You had no right. You're correct. I didn't. Adrian's voice was steady, almost gentle. But Victor has already killed 2 of my men. He's ruthless and paranoid, and he will come for you. I couldn't risk him getting to you first. So, you just decided to invade my privacy? To go through my life like I'm some kind of asset? Yes. The blunt honesty caught her off guard. Adrian leaned forward. I made a tactical decision. It was the smart move. But it was also a violation, and for that I apologize. Mara blinked.
You.
Apologize. Sincerely, he held her gaze. You didn't ask for any of this. I'm trying to keep you alive, but I can see I've made you feel trapped instead of safe. That wasn't my intention. Something shifted in his expression, something almost human beneath the calculated exterior. For a moment, he looked tired. Not physically. Deeper than that. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. I don't protect people. I don't apologize. I give orders and they're followed. But you're not one of my men. You're not part of this world. And I can't treat you like you are. Mara's anger wavered, confusion taking its place. Then what am I? Someone who deserves better than what I'm offering? Adrian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then back at her. My team cleared your apartment.
No devices. No threats.
But I'm asking you not to go back there tonight. Where am I supposed to go? I have a place.
Secure.
Comfortable. You'll have your own space. He stood, pulling a business card from his pocket and setting it on the table. Or don't. Go to a hotel. Stay with a friend. But please don't go home. He turned to leave. Adrian. He paused. Why are you doing this? Really? You could just let Victor kill me. It would solve your problem. He looked back, and for the first time, she saw something raw in his eyes. Something that looked almost like regret. Because you're the first person in 10 years who helped me without wanting something in return, he said quietly. And I'm not going to let that get you killed. Then he walked out, leaving Mara alone with a cold cup of coffee and a choice she didn't want to make. Mara lasted 3 hours before she broke. She tried going back to the diner. Dale took one look at her face and told her to take the rest of the week off, paid, which meant he was scared, not generous. She tried calling her friend Lisa, but the conversation died the moment Lisa asked if those SUV guys were following her around. She tried pretending everything was normal, but normal was gone. By 9 p.m., Mara was sitting in her car in the diner's parking lot, staring at Adrian's business card. No name, just a phone number embossed in silver. She dialed. Mara, he answered immediately, like he'd been waiting. I want to talk. Face to face.
No guards.
No games. A pause. Where?
Here.
The diner. Back parking lot. 1 hour. That's not safe. 1 hour, Adrian. Alone. Or I walk into that police station and tell them everything. She hung up before he could argue. The back parking lot was empty except for the dumpsters and the floodlight that buzzed with dying flies. Mara leaned against her car, arms crossed, watching the tree line where Adrian had disappeared 4 nights ago. It felt like a lifetime. Headlights swept across the pavement at exactly 10 p.m. A single black sedan, no SUVs, no entourage. Adrian stepped out, dressed simply in a dark sweater and jeans. He looked almost human without the armor of his suits. He approached slowly, hands visible, like he was trying not to spook a wild animal. "You came alone," Mara said. "You asked me to. That's a first. You actually listening to what I want." Adrian stopped a few feet away. "You're angry." "I'm furious," Mara pushed off the car. "You've taken over my life. My job is falling apart. The police think I'm a criminal. I can't even sleep in my own apartment. And you keep saying you're protecting me, but all I feel is trapped." "You are trapped," his voice was quiet. "And I'm sorry for that. Sorry doesn't fix this."
No.
"It doesn't." Adrian stepped closer, his expression serious. "But lies won't either. So let me tell you the truth, all of it." Mara crossed her arms tighter.
I'm listening.
He took a breath, as if deciding how much to reveal. 4 nights ago, Victor Cross orchestrated a coup. He'd been planning it for months, bribing my people, turning my allies, making deals with competitors. The goal was simple: capture me, force me to sign over my assets, then kill me and make it look like a gang war. Why tell me this? Because you need to understand what you walked into. Adrian's jaw tightened. That night, Victor sent 8 men to a meeting spot. He'd bribed half my security team to stand down. I realized too late it was a trap. I fought my way out, but I took a knife to the ribs in the process. I ran. The officers chasing me weren't real law enforcement. They were dirty cops on Victor's payroll, making sure I didn't escape. Mara's stomach twisted. "And I helped you." "You did, without knowing who I was or what was at stake. You just saw someone bleeding and made a choice." Something flickered in Adrian's eyes, something almost like wonder. "Do you know how rare that is in my world? People don't help. They calculate. They negotiate. They trade favors. But you just helped. That doesn't explain why Victor wants me dead. Because he knows someone lied for me that night. He pulled the police reports, saw your name, and connected the dots. To him, you're not just a witness. You're proof that his plan failed. He's paranoid, Mara. He sees threats everywhere. And right now, you're the biggest 1 inch. Mara felt the weight of it settle over her like snow. So, what? He's just going to kill me? To tie up loose ends. That's his style, yes. Then why hasn't he? Adrian's expression darkened. Because I've made it clear you're under my protection. Killing you would be declaring war on me directly. Victor's strong, but he's not strong enough to risk that. Not yet. So I'm bait.
No.
Your leverage. Adrian took another step closer. As long as you're alive and under my watch, Victor has to move carefully. He can't act recklessly. That buys me time to dismantle his operation piece by piece. And when you're done, when Victor's gone, what happens to me? You get your life back. Mara laughed bitterly. You really believe that? You think I can just go back to pouring coffee and pretending none of this happened? I think you're stronger than you realize. Don't. Mara's voice shook. Don't try to make this about me being strong or brave. I'm not.
I'm terrified.
Every time my phone rings, I think it's the police. Every time I hear footsteps, I think it's one of Victor's men. I can't eat. I can't sleep. And it's all because I made one stupid decision. It wasn't stupid. Adrian's voice was fierce. You saved my life. And ruined mine. The words hung between them like smoke. Adrian looked away, his jaw working. For a long moment he said nothing. Then, quietly, You're right. This isn't fair. You didn't choose this, and you shouldn't have to live with the consequences. So I'll make you a deal. Mara frowned. What kind of deal?
Help me end this.
Victor's smart, but he's also impulsive. He'll make a mistake, and when he does, I need evidence. Something concrete that ties him to his crimes. Something even dirty cops can't ignore. You want me to spy for you? I want you to help me finish what you started. Adrian met her eyes. You bought me time that night. Now I'm asking you to buy yourself freedom. Help me take Victor down, and I promise, when it's over, you'll never see me again. Mara stared at him, her heart pounding. And if I say no, then I'll keep protecting you from the shadows. But Victor will keep circling. And eventually, one of us will slip. The choice was impossible. But Mara realized, standing in that parking lot under the dying floodlight, that she'd stopped having choices the moment she lied. What do you need me to do? She asked. Adrian's expression softened. Relief, maybe, or respect. First, you need to disappear for a few days. Somewhere Victor can't find you. Somewhere safe. And then we make him think he's won. Mara agreed to think about it. That was her mistake. She drove home despite Adrian's warnings, despite the cold knot of fear in her stomach, because some stubborn part of her refused to let him control everything. She'd grab some clothes, her laptop, maybe her mother's necklace, the one thing she had left worth keeping, and then she'd decide where to go. The apartment building looked normal. Quiet. A few lights on in neighboring units. Mrs. Chen's cat watching from a third-floor window. Mara parked and climbed the stairs, keys already in hand. She unlocked her door, stepped inside, and froze. Something was wrong. The air smelled different. Not perfume or cologne. Something sharper.
Chemical.
And the living room. She'd left the lamp off. Now it was on, casting yellow light across the furniture. Hello, Mara.
She spun around.
A man sat in her armchair, relaxed, legs crossed. Late 30s, clean-shaven, wearing an expensive suit. His smile was pleasant. His eyes were not. My name's Victor Cross. I think you know who I am. Mara's hand shot toward the door, but another man appeared from the kitchen, blocking her exit.
Tall.
Built like a brick wall.
Silent.
Please sit. Victor gestured to the couch. We're just going to talk. Get out of my apartment. I will. Soon Victor's smile widened. But first, I need to know why you lied for Adrian Vale. Mara's heart hammered against her ribs. I don't know what you're. Don't. Victor raised a hand. I've read the police report. I've seen the footage from the diner. I know Adrian's been paying your bills and parking his men outside your workplace. So, let's skip the denial and get to the truth. Mara's mind raced. Every word felt like walking through a minefield. He threatened me. Said if I didn't help him, he'd hurt people I care about. Interesting, Victor leaned forward. Because from where I'm sitting, you don't look like someone who's being threatened. You look like someone who's being protected. I'm not. Adrian doesn't protect people, Mara.
He uses them.
Whatever he's told you, whatever he's promised you, it's a lie. Victor's voice dropped, almost kind. I've known him for 15 years. We built an empire together, and I've watched him destroy anyone who gets too close. Then why would I help him? That's what I'm trying to understand. Victor stood, crossing to the window. Maybe you're smarter than you look. Maybe you saw an opportunity. A scared, bleeding man offers you money, power, protection. Who wouldn't take it? I just want to be left alone. Victor turned back to her. Then help me, and you will be. Tell me where Adrian's hiding his accounts. His safe houses. His leverage over the police. Give me something useful, and I'll make sure you disappear. New name, new city. Enough money to start over. It was a good offer. A way out. But Mara had seen the bodies on the news. The executions. The cold efficiency with which Victor eliminated problems. I don't know anything, she said. Victor's smile faded. That's disappointing. He nodded to the man by the door. The man moved fast. He grabbed Mara's arm, yanking her toward the kitchen. She screamed, kicked, clawed at his grip, but he was too strong. He slammed her against the counter, her ribs cracking against the edge. Pain exploded through her chest. "Last chance," Victor said calmly, pulling a knife from his jacket. "Where is Adrian keeping his files?" "I don't." Mara gasped for air. "I don't know anything, I swear." Victor pressed the knife to her throat. "You know what happens to people who lie to me." The blade was cold, sharp. Mara could feel her pulse beating against it. Then the window shattered. Glass exploded inward. The man holding Mara stumbled back, and suddenly the apartment erupted into chaos. Two figures in black tactical gear crashed through the door, guns raised. On the ground. "Now." Victor dove behind the couch. His enforcer released Mara and reached for his weapon, but one of Adrian's men fired. Two suppressed shots that dropped him instantly. Mara hit the floor, hands over her head, ears ringing. Clear left. Bedroom clear. Target fleeing, south window. Footsteps thundered. More glass shattered. Then arms lifted Mara from the floor, gentle but firm. "You're okay. We've got you." It was one of Adrian's guards, the older one she'd seen at the diner. He guided her toward the door while his partner swept the apartment. "Victor?" Mara's voice shook.
Gone.
Fire escape, the guard's jaw tightened. "But we got you out. That's what matters." They rushed her down the stairs, past neighbors peeking through cracked doors, into the cold night air where two SUVs waited. Adrian stood beside one, phone to his ear, his expression dark as thunder. When he saw Mara, he ended the call immediately. "Are you hurt?" He had a knife. Mara's legs gave out. Adrian caught her, easing her into the SUV's back seat. His hands were steady, checking for injuries with surprising gentleness. "Ribs?" he asked. She nodded, wincing. "Possible fracture. We'll get you to a doctor." He looked at his men. "How did Victor get past surveillance?" "Rooftop access." He rappelled down. "We didn't see him until he was already inside." Adrian's expression went cold. "Find him. I want every safe house, every contact, every place he might run. Now." The men scattered. Adrian stayed with Mara, his hand on her shoulder.
"I'm sorry."
"I should have had more men on you. I should have." "You were right," Mara's voice cracked. "I can't go back. Not to my apartment. Not to my life. It's gone." Adrian's jaw tightened. For a moment, something almost like pain crossed his face. Then he nodded. "Then we go forward," he said quietly. "Together." The SUV pulled away from the curb, and Mara watched her apartment building disappear into the darkness. Everything she'd known was gone. And there was no going back. The motel was 40 miles outside town, tucked between a shuttered gas station and a stretch of highway that went nowhere. The neon sign flickered vacancy in blue letters that had probably been dying for decades. It was perfect because it was forgettable. Adrian's men secured the property in 10 minutes, checking rooms, sweeping for cameras, positioning 2 guards outside and 1 in the office. Mara sat in the SUV, watching through tinted windows, her ribs screaming with each breath. When Adrian opened her door, his expression was unreadable. Room 12. End of the building. Clear sight lines, 1 exit to the woods if needed. "You've done this before," Mara said. "More times than I'd like." He helped her out carefully, his hand steadying her elbow. The November wind cut through her jacket, and she realized she'd left everything behind: her clothes, her photos, her mother's necklace. Everything that proved she'd existed before tonight. The motel rooms smelled like old carpet and industrial cleaner. 2 beds, a bathroom with questionable tile, a TV that probably hadn't worked since 2005. But it was warm, and the door had 3 locks. Adrian set a duffel bag on the nearest bed. "Clothes, toiletries, first aid kit. My men will bring food in an hour." "How long do I have to stay here?" "Until Victor makes a mistake," he paused. "Or until we make him think you're dead." Mara's head snapped up. "What?" "It's an option. We stage your death, let Victor believe he won, and you disappear permanently, Adrian's voice was clinical, like he was discussing weather. New identity, new city. You'd be free. I'd be erased. You'd be alive. Mara sank onto the bed, pain radiating through her ribs. She wanted to scream,
To cry.
to wake up from whatever nightmare this had become. But exhaustion was winning. I need a minute, she whispered. Adrian nodded. I'll be outside if you need anything. Wait, Mara looked up. Why are you doing this? Really? You could have 50 men protecting you. Why waste resources on me? Adrian stood in the doorway, backlit by the parking lot lights. For a long moment, he didn't answer. Then, because I'm tired of people dying for me. The door closed softly behind him. Mara didn't sleep. She showered, the hot water turning pink as it washed dried blood from a cut on her arm she hadn't noticed. She changed into the clothes from the duffel, sweatpants and a t-shirt that smelled like laundry detergent and nothing else. She sat on the bed and stared at the wall until her vision blurred. Around 2 a.m., someone knocked. It's me. Adrian's voice came through the door. Mara opened it. He stood there holding 2 paper cups of coffee and a bag from a 24-hour diner 30 miles down the highway. You should eat, he said. I'm not hungry. You should eat anyway.
She let him in.
They sat on opposite beds, the food spread between them like a negotiation. Mara picked at a sandwich she didn't taste while Adrian drank his coffee black and silent. Can I ask you something? Mara said finally. Yes. That night behind the dumpsters. When you told me not to scream, she looked at him. Were you afraid? Adrian considered the question. Terrified. You didn't look it. I've had practice hiding it, he set down his coffee. When you grow up the way I did, fear becomes something you bury. Show it once and people use it against you. So you learn to lock it away. Pretend it doesn't exist. What was it like? Growing up. Adrian's expression darkened. Not something worth discussing. We're sitting in a motel in the middle of nowhere because I lied for you. I think I've earned some honesty. He looked at her, really looked, and something shifted behind his eyes. Like he was deciding whether she could handle the truth. I grew up in foster care, he said quietly. 7 different homes before I was 16. Some were bad. Some were worse. I learned early that the world doesn't care about people like me. So I stopped caring back. How'd you end up in this life? The usual way. Started running errands for local dealers. Proved I was smart, ruthless when I needed to be. By 25, I'd built my own operation. By 30, I controlled half the state. He paused. And by 35, I'd forgotten what it felt like to trust anyone. Mara's chest tightened. That sounds lonely. It is. Adrian's voice was barely audible. Victor was the closest thing I had to a friend. We built the empire together. I trusted him with my life. He laughed bitterly. Obviously, that was a mistake. Do you have anyone? Family? Someone who? No, the word was final. Everyone I've ever cared about either betrayed me or died because of me. So I stopped caring. It's easier that way. That's not living. That's just surviving. In my world, surviving is winning. Mara shook her head. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Adrian met her gaze, and for the first time since she'd met him, he looked vulnerable. Not weak, just human. Stripped of the power and the suits and the armed guards. You saved my life, he said softly. Not because you wanted something. Not because you were afraid. You just did it. Do you know how long it's been since someone did something kind for me without an agenda? You keep saying that like it was some big heroic act. I just lied. You saw someone in trouble and helped them. In my world, that is heroic. Adrian's jaw tightened. And now you're paying for it. That's on me. So, I'm going to fix it, whatever it takes. What if you can't? Then I'll die trying. The weight of his words settled between them. Mara realized, sitting in that rundown motel room at 2 a.m., that Adrian Vale wasn't just protecting her out of obligation. He was protecting her because she was the only thing in his world that still felt clean. Get some sleep, Adrian said, standing. I'll be in the next room if you need anything. Adrian? He paused at the door.
Thank you, Mara said.
For not letting me die tonight. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or gratitude. Thank you for making me remember what it feels like to be worth saving. Then he was gone, and Mara was alone with her thoughts and the distant sound of trucks on the highway. For the first time in days, she slept. 3 days in the motel felt like 3 years. Mara woke to the sound of Adrian's men changing shifts, ate meals from takeout containers, and watched her phone fill with messages she couldn't answer. Dale called twice. Lisa texted asking if she was okay. Her landlord left a voicemail about next month's rent. Her life was continuing without her. By the 4th morning, she couldn't take it anymore. I need to go back, Mara told Adrian over coffee in his room. Just for an hour. I need to check on the diner, talk to Dale, grab some of my things. Absolutely not. Adrian didn't look up from his laptop. Victor's men are still searching for you. The moment you surface. I can't just disappear, Adrian. People will notice. They'll ask questions. And Dale, he needs to know I'm okay or he'll call the police. Let him. He's been good to me. He gave me that job when no one else would. I can't just abandon him. Mara set down her cup. Besides, if I vanish completely, doesn't that make Victor more suspicious? If I'm dead or hiding, that confirms I knew something important. But if I'm just living my life, working my shifts, maybe he'll think I was exactly what I claimed to be. Nobody. Adrian finally looked at her. You're not nobody. To Victor, I should be. He studied her face, jaw working. Then he closed his laptop with a sigh. 2 hours. Maximum. My men stay close. And if I say we leave immediately. Understood? Understood. The diner looked different in daylight, smaller, shabbier, sadder. Mara's chest tightened as they pulled into the parking lot in an unmarked sedan, 2 more vehicles following at a distance. Wait here, Adrian's lead guard said, but Mara was already opening the door. I'm not hiding in the car. She walked across the lot, feeling exposed under the gray November sky. The bell above the door chimed as she entered, and the smell of burnt coffee and bacon grease hit her like a memory. Dale stood behind the register, his face going pale when he saw her. Mara, Jesus Christ, where have you been? He rounded the counter, then stopped short when Adrian's 2 men entered behind her. Are they with you? It's a long story. Mara glanced around. The diner was nearly empty. Just 1 couple in a booth, picking at their eggs. Where is everyone? Dale's expression darkened.
Gone.
Business has been down 70% since those SUVs started camping out here.
People are scared, Mara.
They think this place is some kind of mob front now. Guilt twisted in Mara's stomach. Dale, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't pay the bills, he crossed his arms. I've got suppliers threatening to drop me. The health inspector's suddenly concerned about violations we've never had. And yesterday, 2 guys in suits came asking questions about you. Mara's blood went cold. What kind of questions? Whether you'd been here.
Who you talked to.
If you had a boyfriend, Dale's voice dropped. They weren't cops, Mara. I've been around long enough to know the difference. So, what the hell is going on? I can't explain. Then you're fired. The words hit like a slap. What?
I'm sorry. I really am.
But I can't afford this. Dale's hands shook as he pulled an envelope from his apron. Here's your last paycheck. Plus 2 weeks severance. It's all I can manage. Dale, please. I have a family, Mara. Kids. And I can't risk them because of whatever you're mixed up in. His voice cracked.
I'm sorry.
But you need to go. Mara took the envelope with numb fingers. Behind her, the couple in the booth stood up abruptly, threw cash on the table, and hurried out. They didn't look at her. The diner felt like a grave. This is my fault, Adrian's voice came from the doorway. Everyone turned. He stood there in a dark coat, hands in his pockets, looking every inch the dangerous man he was. Dale stepped back instinctively. I don't want trouble. You won't have any. Not anymore. Adrian pulled out his phone, typed something, then looked at Dale. I've just transferred $50,000 to your business account. It should cover your losses, and then some. Dale's eyes widened. I don't want your money. It's not a gift. It's restitution. Adrian's voice was calm, factual. My presence endangered your business. I'm correcting that. Additionally, my men will no longer be stationed here. You'll have your diner back. And Mara is no longer your concern. Dale looked between them, confusion and fear warring on his face. Finally, he nodded. Okay.
Okay. Just go.
Please. Mara felt something break inside her chest. This diner had been her anchor for 4 years. The one place that felt like hers. And now it was one more thing she'd lost. She turned to leave, but Adrian caught her arm gently. One moment he looked at Dale. She's a good worker, loyal,
Kind.
and none of this is her fault. When this is over, if she wants to come back, you give her that option. Understood? It wasn't a request. Dale swallowed hard. Understood. Outside, the cold air hit Mara's face like a slap. She walked quickly to the sedan, not wanting anyone to see the tears burning in her eyes. Adrian caught up as she reached the car. Mara, don't. Her voice was raw. Just don't. This is temporary. No, it's not. She spun to face him. You keep saying that I'll get my life back. But look around, Adrian. My job's gone. My apartment's a crime scene. My friends think I vanished. There's no life to get back to. Then we'll build you a new one. I don't want a new one. I want mine. Mara's hands shook. I worked so hard for what little I had. It wasn't much, but it was mine. And now it's just
Gone.
because of one stupid lie. Adrian's expression was pained. I know. No, you don't. You have money, power, people willing to die for you. I had a diner job and a crappy apartment and student debt. And that was enough. It was mine. Tears spilled down her cheeks. And you've taken it all away. Victor took it away. You let him. Mara wiped her face angrily. You said you'd protect me. But all you've done is make me disappear. Adrian looked at her for a long moment, something unreadable in his eyes. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. Marcus, pull all surveillance from the diner.
Permanently, he paused.
Because she's right. We're not protecting her. We're erasing her. He hung up and met Mara's gaze. You want your life back? Then we end this.
Now.
No more hiding. No more waiting for Victor to make a mistake. How? We make him come to us. On our terms. Adrian's voice hardened. And we finish this once and for all. Adrian's safe office was nothing like Mara expected. She'd imagined something out of a movie. Dark wood, leather chairs, walls lined with weapons. Instead, it was a converted loft above a bakery in the city's old quarter. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Minimalist furniture. The smell of fresh bread drifting up through the vents. I bought the building 5 years ago, Adrian explained as they climbed the stairs. The baker downstairs doesn't ask questions. And no one expects to find me above a place that makes croissants. Despite everything, Mara almost smiled. Inside, 3 of Adrian's men worked at laptops, their faces lit by blue screen glow. Maps covered one wall, the city, the county, red pins marking locations Mara didn't recognize. Another wall held photographs, faces, places, connections drawn in marker. Victor Cross's face sat in the center, surrounded by a web of conspiracy. Sit. Adrian gestured to a table where papers were spread like evidence at a trial. I want to show you something. Mara sank into a chair, exhaustion pulling at her bones. She hadn't slept well since the motel. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow looked like Victor. Adrian laid out a series of printed messages, text exchanges, emails, encrypted chats that had been decoded. We intercepted these from Victor's network over the past week. He pointed to the first one. This is from 3 days ago. Victor to one of his lawyers. Mara read, need the waitress connected to Vale officially. Conspiracy charge.
Make it stick.
Her stomach dropped. He's framing me? Not just framing. Manufacturing evidence. Adrian pulled out another document, a police report she'd never seen. This is a false statement allegedly given by you, claiming you were paid $5,000 to help me escape. It's been filed with the district attorney's office. That's a lie. I never said that. I know. But Victor has 3 witnesses willing to testify they saw you accept money from my men that night. Adrian's jaw tightened. He's building a conspiracy case. If it goes to trial, you'll be portrayed as an accomplice. Even if you're acquitted, your name will be destroyed. Mara's hands trembled as she read through more messages. Each one was worse than the last. Plans to leak her information to the press. Fabricated financial records showing deposits she'd never received. Anonymous tips to federal investigators. He's not trying to kill me anymore, she whispered. He's trying to destroy me. It's smarter this way. If you're dead, I'm the obvious suspect. But if you're alive and imprisoned, Adrian leaned against the table. Then I'm the crime boss who manipulated an innocent woman. My reputation takes the hit. My organization looks weak. Victor steps in as the honorable one who exposed corruption. This is insane. This is strategy. Adrian pulled out one final document, a message timestamped from this morning. And this is the endgame. Mara read, trial date set for January 14th. She'll be in custody by Christmas. Vale will negotiate to save her. That's when we move.
He's using me as bait, Mara said. Yes.
He knows I'll try to protect you. He's counting on it. Once I make a move, legal or otherwise, he'll have justification to eliminate me. Self-defense. Protecting the legal process. The authorities will look the other way. Mara pushed the papers away, her head spinning. So, what do? We turn it around, Adrian straightened. Victor's plan requires you to be a victim. Helpless. Naive. Someone who can be manipulated. But what if you're not? I'm a waitress, Adrian. I'm not an operative.
No.
But you're a witness. He pulled out a chair and sat across from her. Everything Victor's doing, the false statements, the manufactured evidence, the conspiracy, it's all illegal. If we can prove he's fabricating charges, the entire case collapses. And his credibility goes with it. How do we prove it? Adrian's expression sharpened. The security footage from the diner. The night you helped me. If we can show there was no exchange of money, no prior contact, no evidence of conspiracy, it contradicts his entire narrative. Mara's heart sank. The diner doesn't keep footage that long. It records over itself every 72 hours. I know. But there's another camera. Adrian pulled up an image on his phone, a traffic camera at the intersection near the diner. This one's city property. It covers the back parking lot. And the footage is stored for 90 days before deletion. Can you get it? Not legally. And if I hack the system, the footage becomes inadmissible. Adrian met her eyes. But if you request it, as a citizen concerned about the false charges being filed against you, it's a legitimate legal inquiry. Mara understood. You want me to go on record. To stop hiding. I want you to fight back. Adrian's voice was intense. Victor thinks you're weak. Prove him wrong. Request the footage. Make a formal statement. Show the world you're not his victim. And when he comes for me, he won't get the chance. Adrian stood pacing. We're not just getting footage. We're setting a trap. When you make your statement public, Victor will panic. He'll try to suppress the evidence, intimidate witnesses, maybe even try to destroy the footage himself. And when he does, we'll have him on camera. Real crimes. Real evidence. Mara stood too, her legs unsteady. This could work? It's risky. You'll be exposed. Vulnerable. Every agency in the state will have eyes on you. Adrian stopped pacing, facing her. But it's the only way to end this without you disappearing forever. Without erasing who you are. Mara thought about the diner. About Dale's fear. About her apartment, her life, everything she'd lost. She thought about hiding in motels, jumping at shadows, living as no one. I'm tired of being afraid, she said quietly. Then don't be. Adrian's voice was soft. Be angry. Be strategic. Be the woman who lied to police and didn't flinch. Something shifted in Mara's chest. Not confidence, not quite, but determination. The same impulse that had made her lie 4 nights ago, when lying was easier than letting someone die. What do I have to do? Adrian smiled, a real smile, not the careful mask he usually wore. First, we get you a lawyer. A real one. Someone Victor can't touch. And then you walk into the police station, demand the footage, and dare Victor to stop you. Adrian's eyes glinted. And when he shows his hand, we take everything from him. Mara took a deep breath. Okay, let's do it. One more thing. Adrian's expression turned serious. Once we start this, there's no going back. Victor will know you're working with me. He'll escalate. It will get dangerous. It's already dangerous. Not like this, Adrian held her gaze. Are you sure? Mara thought about everything she'd lost. Everything Victor had taken. The life she'd built, small and imperfect, but hers. I'm sure, she said. Let's burn his world down. The lawyer's name was Catherine Reeves, and she looked like she'd been born in a courtroom. 50s, silver hair and a sharp bob, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Mara's car. She sat across from Mara in a downtown office with a view of the river, her expression unreadable as she reviewed the documents Adrian had provided. This is quite the mess you found yourself in, Catherine said finally. I didn't find it. It found me. Nevertheless, Catherine closed the folder. Victor Cross is building a federal conspiracy case. False or not, these charges are serious. If this goes to trial, you're looking at 5 to 10 years. Mara's stomach churned. Can you stop it? I can fight it. But what we need is evidence that proves Victor's fabricating the entire thing. Catherine leaned forward. Mr. Vale mentioned security footage. From the night it happened, there's a traffic camera that covers the diner's back lot. And you're certain it will show no exchange of money? No prior contact. I'm certain. Catherine nodded slowly. Then here's what we'll do. I'll file a formal request for the footage under the Freedom of Information Act. Simultaneously, we'll submit a statement to the district attorney outlining your version of events. Put everything on record before Victor can muddy the waters further. Won't that make me a target? You're already a target, Miss Jennings. But right now, you're a silent one. Victor controls the narrative. We need to take that power away from him. Catherine's expression softened slightly. I won't lie to you. This will be difficult. But it's your best chance at reclaiming your life. Mara looked out the window at the gray river below. Somewhere out there, Victor Cross was planning her destruction. And somewhere behind her, Adrian was planning his. She was tired of being a piece in someone else's game. Let's do it, Mara said. The footage request took 3 days to process. Mara spent them back at the motel, pacing, anxious, feeling like a grenade with a pin already pulled. Adrian came by twice a day, once with food, once with updates. His men rotated shifts outside her door. The walls closed in a little more each hour. On the 3rd day, Catherine called. We have it. The traffic camera footage from November 18th, 11:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Mara's heart leaped. And it's exactly what you said it would be. You're visible on camera for 8 minutes. No one approaches you. No money changes hands. The only interaction is with the 2 officers who questioned you. Catherine paused. Miss Jennings, this footage exonerates you completely. Relief flooded through Mara so fast she had to sit down. So the charges should be dropped within the week. I'm submitting the footage to the DA this afternoon with a formal request to dismiss. What about Victor? What happens when he finds out? That's not my concern. My job is keeping you out of prison. Catherine's voice turned firm. Stay where you are. Don't talk to anyone. And let the legal system do its job. Mara hung up and immediately called Adrian. He arrived 20 minutes later, his expression unreadable as Mara showed him the footage on her laptop. Catherine had sent her a copy. Together they watched in silence as the grainy black and white video played. There she was, alone behind the diner, smoking a cigarette she never lit, looking at the woods. Then the officers arrived, questioned her, left. She stood alone for another minute before going inside.
No, Adrián.
No money.
No conspiracy.
Just a woman on a break. This is it, Mara whispered. This proves everything. Adrian's jaw was tight. This proves you're innocent. But it also proves Victor lied to federal investigators. That he manufactured evidence. That he's desperate. Isn't that good? Desperate men are dangerous men. Adrian stood, pulling out his phone. Catherine's submitting this today? In an hour. Then we have maybe 3 hours before Victor knows. For if we're lucky, he made a call. Marcus. Full lockdown. Assume Victor will move tonight. I want every asset secured, every safe house staffed, and every leak plugged.
Now.
He hung up and looked at Mara. Pack your things.
We're moving you.
Where? Somewhere Victor can't reach. Adrian's voice was steel. He's going to come at us hard. And when he does, I need you safe. What about you? I'll be exactly where I need to be. He moved toward the door, then stopped. Mara, what you did, getting this footage, it's more than evidence. It's leverage. For the first time since this started, we have something Victor wants destroyed. That makes you valuable. I don't want to be valuable. I want to be safe. In my world, they're the same thing. The attack came at 9:47 p.m. Mara was in a different motel, nicer this time, closer to the city. Adrian's men had swept it twice. 3 guards outside, 2 in the parking lot. Every precaution taken. It didn't matter. The explosion took out the front office, glass and fire blooming into the night. Mara hit the floor as the windows shattered, ears ringing, lungs choked with smoke. Gunfire erupted outside. Shouting. Screams. Someone kicked in her door. One of Adrian's guards, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. Move. Now. Mara ran. They made it to the parking lot before the second explosion hit, flipping a car and sending them both sprawling. Mara's head cracked against the pavement, vision swimming. Through the chaos, she saw them, Victor's men, 6 of them, advancing with military precision, cutting down Adrian's guards.
Closing in.
This was it. The end. Then headlights blazed across the lot, blinding and furious. 3 SUVs screamed to a halt, and Adrian emerged from the center one, flanked by a dozen men in tactical gear. His face was cold fury. Hold your fire. Adrian's voice cut through the chaos. Victor, I know you're watching. The shooting stopped. Silence fell, broken only by flames crackling and someone's labored breathing. A figure stepped from the shadows across the parking lot. Victor Cross, hands in his pockets, smiling like this was all a game. Adrian, he called. Always so dramatic. It's over, Victor. The footage went to the DA. Your conspiracy's exposed. You've lost. Victor's smile widened. Have I? Or have I just forced you into the open? He gestured to the burning motel. Now everyone knows you're protecting her. That makes you look weak. Sentimental. And in our world, sentiment is death. Then let's settle this. Adrian's hand moved to his jacket. Right here.
Right now.
No more games. Mara struggled to her feet, vision clearing. 2 men with guns, 20 feet apart, and her in the middle. Adrian, don't. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Victor laughed. Another time, old friend. But know this, she's already destroyed you. You just don't see it yet. He melted back into the shadows. His men followed. Within seconds, they were gone. Adrian rushed to Mara, hands checking for injuries. Are you hurt?
I'm okay.
Mara grabbed his arms. He's right, isn't he? This isn't over. Adrian's expression was grim.
No.
But after tonight, he'll make a mistake. And when he does, we'll be ready. The sirens grew deafening. And Mara realized the trap they'd set for Victor had caught them all. The safe house was underground. Literally. A converted bunker beneath an abandoned warehouse on the industrial edge of the city. Adrian led Mara down concrete steps, past steel doors that looked like they belonged in a bank vault, into a space that hummed with servers and surveillance equipment. This is where we've been coordinating everything, Adrian explained as they entered. His men worked at computer terminals, their faces bathed in screen light. Maps flickered on wall-mounted displays. Every communication Victor's made for the past 6 months. Every transaction. Every contact. Mara sank into a chair, her body aching from the motel explosion. You've been watching him this whole time? The moment he betrayed me, I started building a case. Adrian pulled up a chair beside her. But evidence alone wasn't enough. I needed him to act. To make mistakes in the open where authorities couldn't ignore them. The footage, Mara realized. You knew he'd panic. I knew he'd escalate. Attacking you at a motel with federal investigators already involved. Adrian's smile was cold. That was reckless.
Desperate.
Exactly what we needed. One of Adrian's men, Marcus, the older one who'd pulled Mara from her apartment, approached with a tablet. We've got movement. Victor's convoy just left his estate, heading toward the docks. Adrian studied the screen. How many vehicles? 3 SUVs. 8 men plus Victor. They're not trying to hide. Because he thinks he's won. Adrian stood, his expression hardening. He thinks we're scattered.
Weak.
That tonight's attack broke us. Didn't it? Mara asked quietly. Adrian looked at her.
No.
It gave us exactly what we needed. Proof of attempted murder, witnessed by neighbors caught on security cameras, with police reports filed. Victor's not just a criminal now. He's a liability. To who? Everyone. Adrian turned to Marcus. Contact Agent Reyna at the FBI. Tell her the target is moving. Full immunity for testimony, like we discussed. Marcus nodded and moved away. Mara stood, her heart racing. You're working with the FBI? For 3 months now. Quietly, Adrian's jaw tightened. I don't trust them, but they want Victor more than they want me. He's been bribing federal agents, laundering money through political campaigns, trafficking weapons to groups the government actually cares about. I'm just a local crime boss. Victor's a national security threat. So you made a deal. I made a choice. Let Victor destroy me, or destroy him first. Adrian met her eyes.
He shows survival.
What happens to you after this? That depends on how useful I remain. Adrian's expression was unreadable. But that's not your concern. Your part in this is almost over. Mara's chest tightened. What do you mean? Before Adrian could answer, Marcus called out. They've stopped. Pier 47. Victor's meeting someone. Adrian moved to the main display, where satellite footage showed the docks in infrared. 3 vehicles parked near a warehouse. Figures moving in the darkness. And approaching from the water, a boat. That's the shipment, Adrian said. Victor's been promising his buyers military-grade weapons. Stolen from a National Guard depot 3 months ago. If he completes this sale, he has the money and connections to disappear, Marcus finished. He'll vanish before we can touch him. Unless we don't let him complete it. Adrian pulled out his phone. Agent Reyna? Your target is at Pier 47, about to complete a federal weapons transaction. You have 15 minutes before he's gone. He paused. Yes, I'll testify. You have my word. He hung up and turned to his men. Full withdrawal. I want everyone out of the area before federal agents arrive.
No traces. No witnesses.
We were never here. What about Victor's men? Marcus asked. Let the FBI handle them. Adrian grabbed his jacket. Our job is done. You're just going to walk away? Mara said. After everything? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Stay in the shadows. Survive. Adrian looked at her. That's how this works, Mara. You don't win by being the hero. You win by outlasting everyone else. They watched from 3 miles away on a laptop, streaming police scanners and news helicopters. Federal agents swarmed Pier 47 at exactly 10:38 p.m. Floodlights blazed. Megaphones ordered surrender. For a moment, nothing happened. Then gunfire erupted. Victor's men opened fire, and the docks exploded into chaos. Federal agents returned fire from behind armored vehicles. The helicopter footage showed figures running, falling, scrambling for cover. And in the center of it all, Victor crossed, trying to reach his SUV. He almost made it. An agent tackled him 15 feet from the vehicle, slamming him face-first into the concrete. Within seconds, he was surrounded, zip-tied, being read his rights. The entire operation lasted 7 minutes. When it was over, the news anchor's voice crackled through the laptop speakers. Major development tonight as federal agents arrest Victor Cross, alleged organized crime figure, on charges including weapons trafficking, racketeering, bribery of federal officers, and conspiracy to commit murder. Sources say the arrest was the result of a months-long investigation. Adrian closed the laptop. Silence filled the bunker. "It's over," Marcus said quietly. For now, Adrian's expression remained neutral, but Mara saw something flicker in his eyes. Relief. Or maybe just exhaustion. Victor's organization will collapse without him. His lieutenants will turn on each other. The authorities will be too busy cleaning up the mess to look at us. "And the deal?" Mara asked. "Your testimony?" "I'll give them enough to ensure Victor never sees daylight again. Names, dates, transactions. Nothing that implicates me directly, but enough to seal his fate." Adrian turned to her. "And in exchange, they forget I exist. Again. Just like that." Just like that. Adrian's voice was tired. "This is the game, Mara. There are no final victories. No real endings. Just temporary truces until the next war begins." Mara thought about the diner, about her apartment, about the life she'd lost and the woman she'd become in the past 2 weeks. "What about me?" she asked. "Where do I go now?" Adrian met her eyes, and for the first time since she'd met him, he looked almost gentle. "Anywhere you want," he said quietly. "You're free." 1 week later, the diner looked exactly as Mara remembered. The same faded booths, the same coffee-stained counter, the same bell above the door that chimed like nothing had changed. But everything had. The news had moved on. Victor Cross's arrest had dominated headlines for 3 days: federal weapons charges, conspiracy, corruption. Then a celebrity scandal broke, and the world forgot. That's how it worked. Chaos, then silence. Crisis, then nothing. Mara's charges had been dropped quietly. Catherine Reeves had called with the news, her voice professionally satisfied. The DA reviewed the footage and declined to prosecute. "Your record is clean, Miss Jennings." Officially, none of this ever happened. But it had happened, and Mara couldn't pretend otherwise. She'd returned to her apartment to find it professionally cleaned, courtesy of Adrian, though he'd never admit it. New locks, repaired drywall where Victor's men had kicked in the door. Her belongings exactly where she'd left them, except for one addition: her mother's necklace, sitting in a velvet box on the kitchen counter with no note. Dale had called the next day, awkward and apologetic. "The job's still yours if you want it. No hard feelings. I was just scared." Mara understood. Fear made people do strange things, like lie to police, like trust a criminal, like survive when surviving seemed impossible. She'd taken the job back. Not because she needed it. Adrian's restitution had left her with more money than she'd ever had. But because she needed the normalcy, the routine, the proof that her life was still hers. Today was her first shift back. Mara tied her apron, filled the coffee maker, and tried to ignore the stares from regular customers who'd read the news and connect it they shouldn't have. By 10 a.m., the breakfast rush had faded, and the diner settled into its usual mid-morning lull. That's when the bell chimed. Adrian Vale walked in alone.
No sweets. No guards.
Just jeans, a dark sweater, and the kind of quiet confidence that didn't need an entourage. He looked different somehow, lighter, maybe, or just less burdened. He slid into a booth in her section. The same one as before. Mara grabbed the coffee pot and walked over, her heart doing something complicated in her chest. "Coffee?" she asked. "Please." His smile was small, genuine. "Black." She poured, and they both pretended this was normal. Just a customer and a waitress. Nothing more. "I didn't think I'd see you again," Mara said quietly. I wasn't planning on it. Adrian wrapped his hands around the cup. But I owed you a proper goodbye. One that wasn't in a bunker or a motel or the middle of a crisis. Is it over? Really? Victor's awaiting trial. His organization collapsed. The federal investigation is focused on his people, not mine. Adrian's expression turned carefully neutral. I'm back to being a ghost. It's safer that way. Mara slid into the booth across from him, glancing toward the kitchen where Dale was pointedly not looking. What about the FBI? Your testimony? I gave them what they needed. Nothing more, nothing less.
They're satisfied, he paused.
I'm good at surviving, Mara. It's what I do. That sounds lonely. It is. Adrian met her eyes. But it's also safe. For me and for anyone who might be connected to me. The implication hung between them like smoke. You came to say goodbye, Mara said softly. I came to give you this. Adrian slid a thick envelope across the table. Similar to the first one, but heavier. Inside is a bank account number.
$52,000.
Completely legitimate. Taxes paid. Paper trail clean. It's yours. Mara didn't touch it. I don't want any money. It's not payment. It's a fresh start. Adrian's voice was gentle. Your student loans are gone, but that was emergency aid. This is something different. This is freedom. Money to relocate if you want. Or go back to school. Or just breathe for a while without worrying. Adrian, you saved my life, Mara. Not because you had to. Not because you wanted something. You just saw someone who needed help, and you helped. His jaw tightened. In 15 years of his life, no one's done that. So please, let me do this one thing for you. Mara looked at the envelope, then at him. What if I don't want to say goodbye? Something flickered across Adrian's face. Surprise. Then something deeper. Mara, I'm not saying I want to be part of your world. I don't. But these past 2 weeks, she struggled for words. You're not what I expected. You're careful and controlled, but you're also honest. Kind even in your way. And I think maybe you need someone to remind you that you're more than just survival. I can't offer you anything. No relationship. No future. Just danger and complications. I'm not asking for that, Mara's voice steadied. I'm just saying, if you ever need coffee, you know where to find me. Adrian stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he smiled, a real one, reaching his eyes. I'll remember that. He stood, leaving cash on the table. Too much, like always. He paused at the booth's edge. You're stronger than you think, he said quietly. What you did, standing up, fighting back, refusing to be erased, that takes courage most people never find. Don't forget that. I won't. Adrian walked toward the door, and Mara felt the weight of ending settle over her. But it wasn't bitter. It was right.
Clean.
He paused at the threshold, looking back one last time. Thank you, Mara. For everything. Thank you for not letting me disappear. He nodded, then stepped out into the November sunshine. Mara watched through the window as he climbed into a simple sedan, no SUVs today, and drove away. She expected to feel sadness.
Loss.
Instead, she felt something else entirely.
Peace.
She'd walked into a storm she never asked for, survived it, and come out the other side still herself. Scarred, maybe. Changed, definitely. But still Mara Jennings. Still standing. Dale appeared beside her, following her gaze. Friend of yours. Mara picked up the envelope, feeling its weight. Inside was freedom.
Choice.
A future that was hers to write. Something like that, she said. The bell chimed as new customers entered. The coffee machine hissed. Life continued, ordinary and beautiful, and hers. And for the first time in 2 weeks, Mara smiled.